Hola, amigos. Let's take some time to learn a little bit about Mexican Independence Day. So, first and foremost, let's remember that it is a common misconception that May 5th, or Cinco de Mayo, is Mexican Independence Day. Those two are not the same days. Mexican Independence Day actually takes place on September 16th. But have you ever wondered, what happened on September 16th? Why is it September 16th? Let's continue. After Hernan Cortez's arrival to Mexico in 1517 and subsequent colonization in 1519, Mexico was a colony of Spain. So again, Spain, the nation of Spain, was sending explorers and conquistadors all over the world to try to possess land and create colonies in order to gain wealth, which is make money. So yeah, Spain came over and colonized Mexico. Did you ever wonder why Mexicans speak Spanish? Well, that's why. Did Mexicans speak another language before Spanish? Absolutely, several. They had several indigenous languages that they spoke, but after Spain sent their conquistadors and Hernan Cortez over to Mexico, Mexico then effectively was a colony of Spain and spoke Spanish. But as you can imagine, over the course of several hundred years, Mexico was fed up with being ruled by Spain. It's not what they wanted, it's not what they chose. Mexico wanted to be a self-governing country. I hope that you consider how similar this is to to USA's history, right? So Great Britain and the UK sent explorers and conquistadors and like conquerors over here and colonized the United States. And at some point, the United States said, we don't want to belong to Great Britain anymore. We want to be our own country. We want to be independent. Mexico thought the same thing. Mexico wanted to be a self-governing country. So on September 16th, 1810, September 16th, 1810, a priest named Father Miguel Hidalgo rang the church bells and gathered his congregation in the small town of Dolores. A priest is a person that is a clergy member or like a person in the church. So in this case, he was not only a father in the church, a priest in the church, but also in this time, he was a really respected community member. So when he rang the church bells and asked people to gather around in this town of Dolores, people came because they wanted to hear what he had to say. So what did he have to say? He urged his followers to revolt against the Spanish rulers. He gave a speech that was so inspiring, it became famous. And that speech is called El Grito de Dolores, which means the cry of Dolores. Now, I'm not talking about like cry, like boo hoo hoo, okay? Like I'm talking about cries and like, let's go, okay? Like a motivational speech, El Grito de Dolores. And why Dolores? Remember that Dolores is the town that this is happening in. So no history books know exactly what Father Miguel Hidalgo said, like exactly word for word. But the speech marked the beginning of the Mexican War of Independence. Again, Mexico had been colonized by Spain for hundreds of years. They were tired of having overlords from another nation. They wanted to be an independent, self-governing country. So this began the Mexican War of Independence. After the speech, a poorly trained but determined Mexican army began the War of Independence against Spain. It took 11 years. This war lasted 11 years. But finally, in September of 1821, Mexico had won its freedom from Spain. So while Mexico still speaks Spanish, it now, after this, in September 1821, became its own self-governing country, independent from Spain. Here we can see a picture, well, a painting really, Father Miguel Hidalgo. And this is kind of picturing El Grito de Dolores, the call to action, the motivational speech. And why is it important to note that we say that this Mexican army was poorly trained but determined? Because it gives them even more credit that they won. This was not a group of well-trained soldiers that had been training for war their entire life. Okay, these were just quote unquote normal people that were just so sick of having people from another nation as their government. They wanted their own government, that they were like, we don't care that we're farmers, okay, and bakers and seamstresses and whatever else. We are that angry, and so we're ready to start a war, even if we're not even really soldiers. And they won. So that's a big credit to that. That's why it's important to note that. So how do we celebrate Mexican Independence Day today? Mexican Independence Day is celebrated in Mexico, but also in international locations where Mexicans live. So you may see Mexican Independence Day celebrations here in Ohio or all around America, in addition to other nations around the world. In Mexico, the president will ring the bells out in the National Plaza and deliver a reenactment of El Grito de Dolores in the main plaza. People celebrate with parades, parties, fireworks. In fact, it really feels a lot like how a lot of Americans celebrate the 4th of July. There's a lot of outdoor festivities, dressing up in national colors. For Mexico, that's green, white, and red. And just a lot of patriotism, a lot of national pride, a lot of Mexican pride here. All right, what do you think about Mexican Independence Day?